What it do, Dream Team? It's your boy Neal back with another reaction video. Guys, here we are to talk about police in Sweden versus the police in the USA. And my God, this is all my guy's point of view. So know what I'm saying? We about to see what he's talking about. He says, we need to talk. We about to find out what we need to talk about. But before we do, y'all know I need y'all to do smack subscribe, ring the notification bell, get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. Social media, Patreon, all up top. You're subscribed to me, put all the links in the description. All you gotta do is hit the link, follow me, talk to me. Love talking to you guys. I'm human. I talk back. If you got a favorite video suggestion, you can subscribe to Patreon and leave a suggestion, or in the description section there's a Google form link. What we got, man?
Let's talk about police, baby.
Oh.
Let's talk about you and me.
Oh.
Hey guys, what's going on? Andrew coming at you. And in this one, we're going to talk about police
What's up, Andrew?
in Sweden versus the U.S. Why police, for the most part, seem to be pretty well liked in Sweden as compared to the U.S.
Oh.
And you know, we have
I'm
to talk about
intrigued.
this issue. It is brought up so many times. And I feel like the last 2 years, it's really been just on display about all the things that need to be worked out with in the United States. And there's a couple different factors that we're going to have to keep in mind here of why the police have a worse reputation in the United States. And so that number one, and the first thing I want to say too is I'm not a police hater. I think it's probably not a easy job, and I feel sympathy with police being like a teacher. I feel like sometimes being a police officer must be like being like a teacher, because you expect people to follow the rules. Sometimes they don't follow the rules, and then you have to go up from there. And I agree that it's much more dangerous. But one thing we always have to keep in mind with police.
I agree. I'm not a police hater either. You know what I'm saying? And every police is different. I don't hate police, because if I'm ever in danger, 911, hey, I need y'all help. You feel me? There is police who do wrong things, but there's also a lot of great police. So you just got to judge people
from there, and I agree that it's much more dangerous. But one thing we always have to keep in mind with police, because this is the big elephant in the room that people don't want to talk about, which is that when you live in a society where literally anybody can have a gun and potentially be carrying a gun and armed, you're always going to have police that are going to be trigger happy, meaning they are going to mistake anything for being a gun. Because when you look at issues and things that happen with police and police encounters and videos, it's typically a normal traffic stop where something horrible can go wrong. And it happens in Sweden too, but way less of a degree. And I think that's due to the fact that not many citizens in Sweden are armed and walking around all the time. And we don't have a lot of weapons in Sweden. Yes, we have shootings from time to time, and it has been getting worse over the years, but it's nowhere near the same level as the United States.
It'd be bad over here. It'd be bad, unfortunately.
Now, first thing I gotta talk about is being a police officer in Sweden is hard. There's such a need for police officers, and Sweden's working really hard to find more police, but they're just not out there yet. And so we have a police shortage. But Sweden didn't change the requirements to make it easier to become a police officer. So being a police officer in Sweden takes many, many years of training. In some cases, in many countries in Europe, it can take 2 to 3 years. And it's a high standard. I have people I know who are trying to become police officers, and they have to pass all these tests and these exams, and some of the people haven't passed it yet, or they might have to test something over again. And it is much more of a challenge in Sweden to become a police officer. Where in the United States, because you don't have one central police force, the way we do police is very interesting. There can be county police, there's state police, there's federal police.
Facts.
Although police training in the United States can take a long time and be something that could take multiple years, because there isn't the same kind of regulations in place. In some cases, you can become a police officer after 6 months, or maybe you worked in the military and then you can transition into the police force. The problem
That's what I was gonna say. I've been approached people asking me if I wanted to become a police officer, and they said it only took 6 months when they told me. And so I'm not sure if that's right. I think that's what they told me. It could be wrong, but if where it would take years of training would be better than just 6 months, right? And I understand you need police, but you need properly trained police.
Worked in the military, and then you can transition into the police force. The problem with not having everything as a standard training means that sometimes people are going to become police too early. Like when we look at the example of the girl who used a taser instead of a gun, I find that to be such a mental error of not thinking, but something you would think somebody like that would get weeded out in the training aspect if they...
Was it a taser instead of a gun or a gun instead of a taser? I don't know. He could be
but
right.
something you would think somebody like that would get weeded out in the training aspect if they can't even remember what's a gun or a taser. They probably shouldn't be in the police force. Well, I feel like there's a lot of police in the United States that maybe aren't super highly trained. They kind of went into this job and they never got weeded out. The problem has always been in the United States is it used to always be for like the last 10, 15, 20 years is if a police officer made a mistake in the United States and somebody got killed or something happened, the police officer always would get protected. It's important to go back to the Rodney King case where he got beat by police. And yes, he was a DUI and he was breaking the law and the police officers had to chase him down, but he got beat. And all those police officers got away without any charges for excessive force. And all the riots ensued after that.
Crazy.
There is a history of police in the United States covering things up. There's this case of a guy in Baltimore where he got apprehended by police, and then at some point while he was going to the police station, he ended up dying, and then it got swept under the rug. So now having this chance for people to film, you're seeing a lot of these techniques. And it seems to be this one case that in all problems I see in police in the United States. And that is escalation. It seems to be the police do not have a lot of experience in actually de-escalating situations. And a lot of police officers keep raising the temperature up and actually probably doing the opposite of what they should be doing in certain situations. And you have police that are already trigger happy. Then on top of that, they just keep escalating and escalating. And I think a lot of cases, that's where these two things happen. And if we're also going to have to talk about like race relations and things like that, and one of the problem with policing in the United States and in general is if you want to stop stuff in a high crime area, you have to have more police there. You have to be talking to more people and stopping more people. And it's a lot of these policing techniques that means that if you're an African American that grows up in maybe an area with high crime, you're going to be unfairly targeted by the police more. And we've known this. We've seen this in...
Hey, this man Andrew is preaching. But I thought what he said, the number one most important thing, skill. I feel like an officer has the ability to de-escalate a situation. It may not be number one, but it's got to be up there. Like one of the top skills you need to have. Is a necessity for this job is the ability to de-escalate. And so, hey, I'm agreeing with Andrew on this, man.
Crime, you're going to be unfairly targeted by the police more. And we've known this. We've seen this in statistics. Like, I'll give you an example. White people on average use drugs more than minorities do. But yet minorities are targeted so much more. When you're targeting in these communities, a lot of times you're going to have people that are innocent that get caught into it. And that's another problem with policing is most of these stops where they find the big drug bust, where they do all this, happens in a regular traffic stop. And there will just be cases where police will pull you over for no reason. It's happened to me. I've been pulled over for an illegal reason, and the cop would just kept trying to search my vehicle. They harassed me. They breathalyzed me. It really gave me a negative view of the police for a long time, where if I saw a cop car behind me, I was so scared because this cop really overstayed his boundary. But everybody knew he was a bad cop. Everybody knew he didn't do things by the book. And I'm sure the police knew the same thing. Yet he was able to be in the police force for 10 years and scar people. And I think that's the biggest issue here, is that we have to look at our policing and decide what are we doing here? Is it doing more harm than good? Stop and frisk, I'll give you an example in New York City. Stopping random people and searching them for guns is something they do there. Again, black people tend to get stopped more than white people for stop and frisk. Is the amount of guns or weapons or whatever we're finding worth the potential harm that it's doing in the communities? So a lot of people think moving forward, and I believe the same. I believe that we do have to have more mental health support.
Just randomly and like searching for weapons? I didn't know you could do that.
Moving forward, and I believe the same.
I thought you had to have some kind of cause.
We have to have more mental health support But I think it should be harder to become a police officer. I think we should focus on
agree.
quality over quantity. And police officers should have to be held accountable. Think about it like I think about it in my job. If I'm a teacher and someone else is the teacher and they're horrible being a teacher and the kids aren't learning, they shouldn't be allowed to just keep being teachers anymore. They should be able to be held accountable based on how well their students do to some certain degree. We need to have that for the police force. We need to be able to, and not every case does when a police officer make a mistake, that doesn't mean they have to lose their job, but they should just be held accountable just like everybody else. And if you're going to have a shooting, you're going to have to be able to talk about what happened. Now, I want to go off one thing with this also, where I do think in Sweden, minorities do get unfairly targeted more if it's the same thing. If police are either in a high crime area or stopping random cars, a lot of times it's going to be the case that the minority is going to get pulled over or questioned more. So it has to do with how we handle non-violent crimes in our country, in a sense, in Sweden or in the United States, as far as I see that happening. But I will say overall, the Swedish police are less likely to cause a lot of unwanted deaths, but there was a big push for Black Lives Matter in Sweden, bringing up these issues. Either way, I think how we do policing is really important. I've had to deal with the police in Sweden and in the States, and they have both been very professional. The difference being was when I was in America, everybody knew who the bad cop was, everybody knew who the good cop was, and there was always some cops that are on a really big power trip that just want to yell and stuff. And I just don't think that that's beneficial overall. So moving forward, if we can increase how long it takes for someone to become a police officer, if we can weed out people in the United States that shouldn't be in the police force and hold people accountable. Hey, look, you had to use your gun in a life or death situation. We understand that, but can we look at everything that transpired to see if there's something you could have done or to see if this was justified the way that you did the shooting? I'm not saying that I would want to be a cop in this current environment, but we have to recognize that we allowed it to get to this point, and with social media, the fact that people can just film something, bring a camera, it's just there's no denying anymore that it's happening. I think the most important thing to do is to listen to people within our communities, because if people that are African American feel scared to get pulled over by the police, then we're making a failure somewhere. And we need to have police actually within the community helping out. We need to have programs in place helping the community and completely change the relationship we have with the police. And also weed out the police that are always escalating situations and not looking for non-violent endings. And everybody knows police like that exist. I'm sure they do in Sweden as well, but they just get rolled out quickly, which is why the Swedish police are just more well-liked than American police. So I'm hoping that the United States can do the same. I'm sure I missed some stuff. Let me know what I missed here. And I will see you guys in the next video.
Good, Andrew. I think Andrew kind of broke that down and explained it kind of perfectly. I agree with all those points that he said. And so I really don't have a whole lot more to add. So that's all we got for this one. If you guys got a favorite video you want to see me react to, you can subscribe to Patreon, or in the description section there's a Google form link. Hit the link, fill out your suggestions, send it to me. You want me to get to your Splash and others, fill out premium. Make sure you hit subscribe to the channel. Ring that notification bell. Get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. Social media, Patreon, all up top. You can subscribe to any of it. Put all the links in the description. All you gotta do is hit the link, follow me, talk to me. Love talking to you guys. You guys are the most incredible team on YouTube. It's your boy D Neal. Out.